Hello and welcome back. We are back yet again in the garage with a different car this time. I'm joined with Aaron, as always, Wheelhouse After Hours, and we'd like to welcome you to our second video of the year. I think the first one was the Ferrari, which you kindly watched, and this one is a follow-up to the story which we ended on the Ferrari video with me selling my yellow BMW E46 M3. There is a little bit of remorse there with that car going, Aaron, as you well know. And a lot of my friends have probably guessed that. I've been a little bit sad, always sad this time of year, just with the weather. The build up to Christmas is exciting, but the build up to spring is quite hard sometimes. But we're working a lot in the backgrounds, and the days are going very, very fast. I'd spent the whole duration of Christmas and New Year, much to my wife and my family's displeasure, looking for vehicles. And I probably commented on the last video which we shared with you that there was an Aston Martin DB9 involved, there was an Aston Martin Vantage involved, there was a Porsche 906 911 involved, there was a Bentley Continental involved, and I'd got my thinking cap on. I didn't want to rush it buying another vehicle, but at the same time the money was burning a little bit of a hole in my pocket, Aaron, and not completely. I've grown up a lot since then. Obviously, we go way back when, and I couldn't be without a car for more than a day or so. But with the trusty work van and other vehicles that we've got here, I didn't need a car. So I spent a bit longer than I normally would in previous years, just going through the motions, the auto traders and so forth, all the other websites, the auction sites, just to see what it was about, see what the market was doing, because in winter, some of these cars do drop down in price. People sort of have a bit of a worry before Christmas sometimes, and you can occasionally get a bargain. This car here, which is my latest acquisition, is a bit of a bold move. It is the BMW E60 M5, which has a V10 engine, all right? Some of you who have followed us will know that we're predominantly BMW. That isn't Wheelhouse at all, by the way. We work on any shape of vehicle, size, anything, any model, any brand. But in the background, our after hours is predominantly sports cars, M cars, things like that. You know, we've touched base on all sorts of things. Even the Skyline, Aaron, that we did a video on, that was exciting. And I needed something which would be probably a little bit more useful and usable than the M3, the coupe, which had just gone. So I'd sort of crossed out a few cars potentially from that list that I previously mentioned, and thought maybe we'll try and get a super saloon. All right. I've spent many years back and forth reading stuff online, meeting people at car events, building a real good portfolio of ourselves and at Wheelhouse and what we do and what we're about. But actually sort of getting to know people who then become repeat customers, but also good friends. And a lot of those good friends have obviously become good contacts. They know people as well in the car world. I've always been predominantly BMW, as you would have known me barking on about it all the time. And it made sense for me to then re-step into that BMW brand again, which wasn't my original plan. I told everyone I was going to have a break from BMWs, not forever. There was always going to be a BMW lurking around, as I'm leaning on one now, and there's another one out there. But I thought to myself, well, I'd be silly not to be able to use all that information which I've gained over the years, building relationships, building rapport with like-minded friends, if you like, whether it be someone down that works at BMW or whatever it may be, that we could pull some strings on occasions, if and when needed, to get our projects, as always, into motion. This car here I'd known about for a couple of years, and I actually went to test drive it back in July last year, so that would have been July 25. And the story of that day goes, it was my son's birthday, and my wife had asked me to take him out of the house while she prepared the house for him to come back and be surprised, all right, with everyone turning up. So I thought, what do I do? What do I do? I'd learned about this car, real nice, genuine owner who owned this car, had it 6 years. And in fact, his brother was in an M3 group that I was in, all right? So the owner of the car wasn't in an empire of people, if you like, but his brother was. And he'd said to me on the slide, not the slide, but on the back foot of a conversation which was announced in a wider audience in a WhatsApp group that potentially there was a car of this caliber which may be coming to market. And I thought, well, perhaps I could get maybe a leg up, so to speak, and have a look at this car before it potentially went to market, which was going to be mid last year. Went and viewed the car, test drove the car on a bit of a time frame schedule, but still stuck in my mind, actually. Still stuck in my mind that there was an awesome, individual, rare BMW E60 M5 that could be mine. I just had to do the man maths, as we call it, and potentially sell a car, although I did sell 3 in between then and now. That's just the way things go. And that was it. All right, so went and test drove the car, didn't lead the bloke up the garden path, said who I was, what I was about. His brother had already informed him that I was a nice guy, hopefully, and we had a nice morning out looking over this car. Coming away from that, it took probably 6 months for me to decide finally what I wanted to do with my car, the yellow one. That eventually sold. I think the story really behind that would have been when I was introduced to the blue M5, which is sat the other side of that metal door there, that I drove that vehicle and I decided that my time, not forever necessarily, but my time at the moment, the story with me and that car really has sort of not come to an abrupt end, but it was slowly coming to an end where I'm not the smallest guy in the world. I wanted something a little bit more comfortable. Mid-30s, don't necessarily want a banana coloured car anymore, although I cherished it and loved it and polished it within an inch of his life. Perhaps that could be moved and something else could replace it. All right, so the cool story was that car went back to previous owner. I won't get into all that because we did touch base on that on the last video. Fast forward to January, so I'd spent all that time, probably best part of 2 weeks, looking at cars, talking to friends, presented the idea of this car over to them, sent them the videos which the owner had sent me, said it was a real cool car, real cool, honest story. The gentleman had had it 6 years. He'd in fact had a black one before this, which had gone wrong very quickly. They do go wrong, these cars. He'd had a black one which went wrong very quickly. He managed to get himself out of it. The company he'd bought that from and took the car back, and he'd then spent the further 6 months or whatever it was to go and find what he had said to me was the right example, which is this, okay? Individual, as I said before, Indianapolis red, matching interior, Aaron, which makes it ultra rare. We didn't realise quite how rare this car was, all right? It is a required taste. People call it brown. They have made fun of me, and I'm all for it. I quite like an obnoxious looking car, as you would have told from some of my previous vehicles, especially the yellow one. I do like a different colour car, and this did tick that box as well. This car is absolutely bog standard. All I've done, Aaron, as you would know, is do the wheels, all right? So running the company wheelhouse, we have the ability to do these wheels in a very quick time frame. Time is very much of the essence. Couldn't decide what colour I wanted to do them. They are diamond, I beg your pardon, they're polished originally. So we were going to redo them in diamond cut. Someone had smart repaired one of the rear wheels before on the near side. And I just thought, I don't really necessarily want to go down the diamond cut route. Let's do something else. We do diamond cut wheels day in and day out, but we really ultimately specialise in powder coat. That is our forte, that's our area, that's our niche, that's where we lead. Everyone comes to us for that predominantly. So I wanted to show off what we could do with a 5 twin spoke 19-inch wheel, something that is commonly seen a lot, not just with BMWs, but amongst other manufacturers as well. And we hit this with Ultimate Chrome, which is a wheelhouse colour. You won't find that colour sitting on a shelf at another wherever. That is our colour that we've worked with manufacturers to absolutely pinpoint, make as perfect as we possibly can, all right? Whilst the car was in with us at wheelhouse, we've done the brakes. We've decided to do the standard brakes, give them a birthday. The calipers were done in red at the front, and we give them a refresh in silver at the back. All right, they come as a neutral colour as standard, and we didn't want to do that on the front. We think they're a little bit more deserving of going a bright colour, so we give them a birthday in red, silver on the back. Tyres are okay, they're about 3 years old. I'm not going to do a huge amount of miles in this car this year. I want to dial in suspension a little bit. I've got some H&R springs, which is set in the box behind you there, Aaron. Predominantly, my first area of thought was I wanted to lower the front down, okay? The back is slightly more snug in comparison to the front. BMWs do have a tendency of sitting a little bit lower on the offside rear. There is a battery set here, there is the fuel tank accessory set here, and when these cars were designed, they would have been designed to be left-hand drive, all right? So however they set them up, they probably thought you've got a weight of a driver on the near side, on the near side, and all your battery and your everything, you sort of weighty bits that go in the back of the car would be on the offside, okay? I think that's probably why we see a lot of these cars that sort of sit a bit like this. I could have gone down the coilover route. Some people in the owners club who have been really welcoming to me, actually. I've come out of the, not completely out of the M3 owners club WhatsApp groups. I still lurk around in there, but I'm just dipping my toe in the well of the M5 owners groups and learning all those guys' names and what they're up to and what cars they've got and things like that. And some of them do have coilovers. Some of them said iBack. I've always run iBack on all my cars before. And a few members actually messaged me privately and said, I think you might be a little bit underwhelmed with the iBack. On this occasion, I would go H&Rs. They give the car a real flush, even, real lovely look. So I said, fine. All right, so I shopped around, got a really good deal actually on the set of brand new H&R springs, which is set in the box. Still yet to do that. Another thing that I may wish to do in the near future is change the exhaust. All right. This car, I will go into detail a little bit more about the insides and outsides of it. Has only done 44,000 miles, all right? That is pretty much unheard of. Individual spec, rare colour scheme, 44,000 miles, full genuine history. If we just look over here, Aaron, we've got the wallet, which is full leather. That's a premium. Lots of documentation there, lots of documentation there, lots of documentation there. These cars don't ever really ever come with that much, all right? Being 2007, it was a late model, all right? These cars come out, I think first registered around 2005. I was working at BMW Cooper Ipswich when these were actually coming off the transporter. And when I saw these coming off the transporter, BMW had just sort of sold the last of the line of the E39s, which is the same as the blue one we'll go outside, and I thought that was a fantastic looking car. When these came off the transporter, when they were coming in hot off the press, I actually thought, oh my gosh, what have BMW done? I think they've made a real mistake with this. But 20 years nearly down the line, or in some cases in the early cars it is 20 years down the line, not quite yet 20 years with this one, I'm actually quite fond of the look of this car. It is much bigger than the vehicles that I've been used to, all right? We do work on a lot of big vehicles. You know, Adam's got one which was my car, the Chrysler, Aaron, which is a big vehicle. But actually, probably, on the grand scheme of it, is the same size as this. And it weren't until we got this car in the garage for the first time this evening. I've just clothed it over just for the purposes of the video so you guys can have a look with us. And you'll see it all, the good, the bad and the ugly. But actually this is a much bigger car than E39. I've had the children in this, I've had the wife in this, we've all been out, we've had a nice day out in this car. It is absolutely beautiful, it is amazing, it is comfortable. This car has a dual personality. When I say that, you could drive this like a 520 diesel, and you can also drive this car like an absolute hooligan as well. This car has an F1 inspired, you call it inspired, it really was F1 tech, all right, Formula One. Back when BMW introduced Sauber into the Formula One, which was in the early 2000s, they had great time at Formula One, they were successful, and really I think what BMW wanted to do was, as a last hurrah, as it were, they knew the way things were going, vehicles would have to eventually settled down, smaller engines would be introduced, turbochargers would then have to be added. They knew ahead of time, much before the likes of us, these stipulations were going to be slowly put into place. And they decided for the M5 and the M6, they would put a Formula One spec engine into a family saloon vehicle that runs 507 horsepower, 520 something Newton meters and torque, and it is absolutely gorgeous. It really is glorious, and I'm thrilled to have one. It's a bucket list car for me and always has been. Didn't think necessarily that I'd ever have one. I've known of a few people with them. They have had issues with theirs. They are very highly strung. However, to own one is different. It's a scary prospect, but it's very much a bucket list, and it just fitted into what I had really in the bank as well, but what I really had in mind for my next vehicle. I thought, my children are getting a bit older, let's not, with time, not on my side much these days either, let's go out as a family, all right? So rather than me driving around, sitting in my car, like Noddy, my yellow one, big guy, in a little coupe with his music blaring, I thought, actually, I've not fully had my time with that idea, but this enables us to enjoy the car and going out as a family, all friends, or whatever it may be, and enjoying the car, being bigger, with all of us together. So I really like that aspect of it, and that was a huge selling point to me. Aaron, whilst you're there, I think let's just open up the door and we'll let the guys and girls have a look at what's in here. You have to excuse the mess. It needs a good going round, it needs a good hoover. All the interior needs to be leather fed, all the usual stuff that we do when we get these cars. We haven't done anything with it other than those wheels and those brake calipers. Really what we do with a lot of these projects is start with the ground up, which is what we've done once again in this case. We will go through this car. It has got minor scratches, it has got minor stone chips. These panels here have been UV bleached. They've probably been bleached with chemicals when people cleaned them in the past. I wouldn't suggest the previous owner had a lot to do with that. This car was kept clean all the time, and he was very sensible about how he cleaned it, when he cleaned it, and what he cleaned it with. It did live in a barn of this size. It wasn't completely as secure as we'd say this building is with four walls, but it was a barn, and it was protected from the elements, let's just say. Spec-wise, I've already gone into the colour, which is rare. These cars did come with a lot of spec. Being a later vehicle, it did have a few more extras chucked at it, all right? It's got a tracker fitted from factory. I'll open up these rear doors. There is wood in there as well. It's got TV, sat-nav, DVD, MP3, all the normal stuff. Excuse me. We've got Bluetooth, which Aaron's kindly retrofitted using a BMW item. All this car really needs is a thorough going over. Lots of road tar on there, Aaron, I'm just looking at. This is the first time, guys, that we're seeing this car in the flesh, in the, not the daylight, because we're sent in the daylight, but in a dry environment with brighter lights. We can go round it and see all the bits it wants and it needs. As I said, the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's got extended leather in there, which would mean these bits here, Aaron, are leather as well. So I quite often find myself with my elbow on there. This is leather, this is leather, all right? All around the centre, right where your knees go. It's got a premium sound system, so you can adjust all the equalisation for your music. There is absolutely buttons on buttons. Setting this car up to go around the block, and I'm not going to use this vehicle frequently, but set this car up to go around the block is like setting up a cruise ship, Aaron. You know, there's, I think, 10 different ways of having air come at you. You can set them up. There's 10 different ways of having your heated seats. There's 10 different ways of setting up the gearbox. There's 5 different ways of setting up your suspension. Oh, I mean, I don't know, you know, this vehicle is new to me. It is actually probably the newest car I've had in BMW world. I've always said I prefer the older stuff like the E28s here, which I do. That is where my heart is. But it is nice now to get into something a little bit newer and actually enjoy some of the new stuff that comes on these cars as well. And I think they've aged gracefully. As I said, I wasn't a fan originally, but I think they're sort of now looking period. I think in a few more years, if I've still got this by then, it would be quite a sought after vehicle in particular. And I look forward to doing the small, light OEM plus mods if you'd like. But being such a low mileage car, genuine car, low owners as well, I think let's just service it. If the rod bearings need doing, we shall do them. We'll do anything that we're recommended to do by the specialist. We'll work a whiteboard out. We'll have to get a whiteboard up, Aaron, and we can tick the boxes on as we go. We'll obviously document it via YouTube as we do it. And there's so much more that I'd love to show and share with you on this car as we go. But at the moment, I'm still very much learning myself what's going on with this thing. So I will just pop the bonnet before we end the video. You'll hear every time we open the door there, you hear that fuel pump priming, Aaron. It thinks we're going to start it. This car is the most juiciest car I've ever been in, been around. I made a joke the other day and said I think I could probably empty the fuel tank in this faster than my wife could run the bath. You know, it is absolutely just a complete gas guzzler, as they say. The bonnet struts are a bit sad. They are going to stay open for us this evening. But there is the heart of the beast. There is a 5-litre V10 F1 designed performance vehicle. And I've been told, Aaron, when they were putting this vehicle together, they had to down tune this for the market, all right? So this was pushing, as an engine, when they were putting it together and doing their testing, closer to 700 horsepower than it was the 5 which has been delivered with. 507 in particular. When you start the car from cold, let's just say for argument's sake, it runs at 400 horsepower. You get up to temperature, if you wish, you press one button and it changes the car completely. You would have heard Clarkson say that 20 years ago when these cars were new. He wasn't necessarily fond of it like I wasn't. But learning the car, spending time in the car, you totally understand the car. It is an SMG vehicle. A lot of people always said SMG, it's an automatic. It's not. SMG is a manual transmission, all right, with a motor on the side of it. Once again, they do go wrong. I think they add loads of fun to the vehicle. There's a few people which have had bad experiences with SMG and they've changed these out to a manual, all right. Believe it or not, BMW only made a handful of these in manual, and they all went to the North American market. I think I'm correct in saying that. I don't know why, though, Aaron. I don't know why. I mean, they obviously thought EU, UK, blah, blah, blah. We don't need a manual one. I don't know why. I'm not saying we do need one, but I don't know why then they thought the North American market needed one, and they only done a handful of them over there. I know of a few people that have driven manual ones. I know of a few people that have actually had theirs converted to manual. It is a lot of money. It isn't cheap. You can do it obviously using original parts, but those parts are now getting very, very limited. So then the next idea would be to actually put a gearbox out of an E90 M3, so a 6-speed manual out of one of those into here. It will fit. It's slightly quicker ratioed. This car, I will never do this, but this car will actually do over 200 mile an hour. All right, de-restricted, I think they're 155 restricted from factory. That was an EU government law rule, unless you're on the Nürburgring, which you could do faster. But this car, I believe it was 204, 206 mile an hour, depending on who you asked or where you read. I mean, that for me is absolutely mind-blowing. A saloon. It's a big, heavy saloon. It's got all the comforts, all the gizmos, everything you'd want and need and dream of in a car, with your kids in the back or with your dog in the back. But it will do 200, and let's call it 5, so 205 miles an hour with 4 or 5-year in it, and it is absolutely bonkers. BMW or any other manufacturer will never make this again. They will never have the ability to do it again. This was absolutely peak, pinnacle, the top of the tree when it comes to development, the engineering. It's naturally aspirated. You will not find another, in my opinion, car like it. It is really and truly a unique thing. I'm probably selling it to myself there, just helping myself along with the, you know, the confidence of buying it, and hope that we don't have it go wrong, or hope that we don't lose huge amounts of money on it. I will plan to have it for a few years. All those bits that I've said we'd like to do to it, and generally just clean it up, but also enjoy it this time. The Phoenix Yellow M3, it got to a point where I created a bit of a rod from my own back. I've gone for it top to toe, twice, 3 times over. But the problem was, after that, I spent a lot of money on it and I didn't want to drive it anymore. And that was sad. So I spent all this time in here on trickle charge. You know, I think my neighbours saw it more than anyone else when I was opening up the garage door on a Saturday morning. But it was just sad. All right. So our aim is on this project to do all the stuff we normally would, but to enjoy it as well. And with you here with us this time on the camera watching, I think we can have some fun together. But I'll leave it there for now. Thanks for listening to me bark on about this. I hope next time that we present it to you, it's in a slightly more happier fashion. I've got to do some body work to it. I've changed the registration plate. Won't mean nothing to anyone else. I'd actually chased a couple of registrations. As soon as I bought the car, it did have a private plate. I said to the seller, would you like it back? He said, no, I bought it on the car. Doesn't mean anything to me. Do what you wish with it. So that registration I've actually sold online. That was on Reg Transfers. A kind lady called Lisa, shout out to them, sold the plate for me. And I went and bought this. This plate was 250 quid. I don't know if I'm 100% with it, but it was just a stopgap, all right? The original registration, as I said earlier, was a 57 plate. The registration marker for that is in the boot of the vehicle. We'll stay in the boot of the vehicle. So we've done all our bits. It is all insured. It's got an MOT booked on Valentine's Day, which is a coincidence, Aaron, because the MOT on the blue M5 outside is booked on Valentine's Day as well. So we're going to take both of these cars down, probably in convoy as a duo, back-to-back MOTs, and we can enjoy our day moving on from that. But it was, I thought it was quite strange when I was just looking through them. They both wanted MOT at the same time. So that could be quite an expensive day out, but hopefully not. I'm yet to see this car up in the air. We've got the jack ramp in here, the sort of quick ramp as it were. We haven't got it up in the air yet. I might be horrified. We might do another video after this saying, oh my God, I've bought a dud once we've been underneath it, but I really don't think so. I've driven it now. And in fact, I've done more miles in this car in 3 weeks than I did in the yellow M3 in 3 years. So just putting that into context and perspective, I have every faith. And the gentleman I bought this from was rather sad when it left. He's got his own reasons for selling, and he's got another car that he would like as a bucket list to tick off. But he did say to me, I was sort of nail biting as I left, and said, pray for me, it doesn't go wrong. This is a bit of a thing for me. It's quite a big, you know, object to look after. And he said, James, I would drive his car to Scotland tomorrow. And I've done Scotland miles in it, in the ownership of since I've had it. So, you know, really nice guy, super honest. He obviously had faith in it, and now I do too. As I said, bodywork, 2 dents in the rear door where someone had opened it up. Bit of a nasty one. I think it was done at a petrol station. But it's going to want front bumper painted. Unsure whether the bonnet warrants a full sort of bare metal respray yet. Rear bumper, they do what bumpers do. They get bumped. And now this door. So, where do we start? Where do we stop? That's for a different conversation, different day, different video. But for now, I think we'll leave it there, Aaron. All right. Thanks for listening to me bark on about the M5. Really appreciate it. We're hoping for the warmer weather to come back now so we can have you in with us, enjoying this car a little bit more. But from now, from me and Aaron, thank you very much. Stay tuned. Please like, comment, subscribe, all the stuff that everyone asks you to do. It really helps us build this channel and keep it going, keep it going. All right. Thank you very much once again. Take care. See you later.